Hello everybody and welcome back to Expert Examiner IELTS. My name is Glyn and in this video we're going to give some more feedback, this time on Marzie's speaking. So let's have a look. Good evening, my name is Glyn. Would you please tell me your full name?
Hi, my name is Marzie. Nice to meet you.
Okay, so this is a mock test, it's a speaking test, doesn't matter. But if the examiner asks you for your full name, that means not just your first name, but your first name and your surname. Now, this is a speaking test and you might want to be anonymous, right? You don't have to give your real name here, you can give a fake name, that's absolutely fine. But try to get into that, test habit. What's your full name? My full name is Bob Arnold Smith. What should I call you? You can call me Bob. So even if you use a fake name, that's fine. Thank you, Marzie. Now, in this first part of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. What town or city do you live in?
I live in Shiraz. It's a south part of our country, Iran.
And do you like this place?
Well, I feel really comfortable living in my city and I really enjoy it and love the city vibe.
Okay, answer just feels a little bit short. I really enjoyed. I like the city vibe. Maybe a little bit of extra detail would be nice. Now, the reason why Marzie's answers here are short is because we tried doing a practice test first and then there were internet connection problems and so we had to start again. But the first time I asked this question, where are you from? Marzie's answer was like about a minute long. So in that gap between the first attempt and the second attempt, I said like, hey, your answer for part one, for your first question is far too long. You have to make it shorter. But of course, now Marzie's gone the other way, where she's thinking, don't speak for too long, and so her answers just become a little bit short. So finding that sweet spot, finding that golden mean, that perfect middle between not too short, not too long, this is something a teacher can help you with. If you have a teacher, a tutor who helps you with IELTS, they can give you that feedback on what is a good length for an answer. So just a little bit short and I don't know, but speaking to Marzie before the test, she's like super positive, super up, like super bright and open, and the answer just feels a little bit like, I don't know, a little bit like she's tired or something. Just listen again, you tell me.
I feel really comfortable living in my city and I really enjoy it and love the city vibe.
Yeah, just not a big problem. Okay. And which parts of your city are particularly busy at the weekend?
Where city centers can
City centres? How many city centres does your city have? One or multiple?
be really busy at the end of the week on Thursdays. Our weekend is on Thursday night, and
Cool, nice little paraphrase or nice little addition. Our weekend is on Thursday night. Nice.
the center of city, like where the coffee shops and malls are located, it's really busy at the
Cool, okay, are located, fine.
weekends.
Cool, at the weekend. At the weekend, at the weekends. I like the singular, at the weekend. Okay. And has the city changed much in the last 10 or 20 years?
I don't think it has been changed, and
Don't know about this passive. I don't think it has been changed. Change is one of those verbs that sometimes we do use it in the passive. There is a little bit of English grammar called the ergative. And change is one of those verbs that's used in the ergative. I won't bore you with grammar about the ergative, but there are some verbs like open, close, start, finish, change that we often just use in the active, even though it might have a passive meaning. But don't worry. Has changed is better than has been changed, in my opinion.
even if it's changed, I really don't get it. Yeah, because I'm
I don't get it. Maybe I don't see it.
living and I don't sense the changing
Cool. I don't sense the changingness.
that much.
That much. I really like that much. That much is just great here. I don't sense it that much. People talk about, what is good vocabulary. Should I use words like the utmost sincerity? I love things like that much. It hasn't changed that much. Just so nice. And do you think you will continue living in this city in the future?
Well, I think it's the best place in the world for me, but maybe I'm planning to immigrate.
That just sounds strange. Maybe I'm planning to. maybe I'm planning to. I don't know. Maybe I will, or I might. But maybe I'm planning to. For me, there's a bit of a contradiction there, because if you're planning to, you're planning to. There's no maybe about it. With predictions, you could say, well, I might leave, or maybe I'll leave, maybe I'll emigrate soon. That's fine, but maybe I'm planning to. For me, it just sounds a bit strange. I'm thinking of emigrating soon. That's better here. So we do have like levels of plans, right? Strongest plans, I'm emigrating soon. Normal plans, I'm going to emigrate, I'm planning to emigrate. And then tentative or weaker plans, I'm considering emigrating, or I'm thinking of emigrating. So that flexibility and precision of the strength of the plan is just missing a little bit.
I'm not going to be able to live.
I'm not going to be able to. Love it, love it, love it. Future inability. I'm not going to be able to. Great.
In that city.
Let's move on now and talk about education. What was your favorite subject in school? Already noticing the well. I didn't notice it during the test, but now I think this is the second or third question that she's answered with the word well as the first word.
I was really good at math, and
cool, good preposition. I was really good at maths.
I really enjoyed solving the problems.
Cool. Okay, not solving the problems, but solving problems is probably better. But enjoyed plus gerund, enjoyed solving, and also solving problems, good collocation. Candidate has some strength in her language for sure.
Very much, and I got good scores on math.
Notice this good scores. Good scores. This is something that many Spanish speakers do, but also I've noticed many Iranians do. Now, this isn't a criticism of Iranians. Honestly, one of the best non-L1 users of English I know or I've met is an Iranian, and her brain is just incredible. She's a very, very smart person, but she still has this I before the S. I studies, I students, I school. Now, will this cost you? Will that be enough to pull your pronunciation down one band, for example? No, not by itself, but it can play a part. It can be, it can be considered as one piece of evidence when we're judging this phonological range. So this plus another small mistake plus another small mistake and another small mistake could create a cluster that makes us think, well, that phonological range might be wide but not full, for example. Just listen to it again, the I before the S.
Very much, and I got good scores on
good scores, good scores, good scores, good scores. That D can disappear. Good scores, good scores, good scores, good scores, good scores.
Math also, so that would be my favorite lesson in all the time.
Not my favorite lesson, but my favorite subject. So a lesson is, one unit of that thing, right? Like you have a lesson every Monday. But good favorite subject
that I was studying.
And did you ever have any? We had it again. Is studying. Did you hear it? Is studying. Just listen again.
It's a lesson in all the time that I was studying.
Yeah, just a little bit I hear it. Now, you might also know this channel, Marzie IELTS, and there's one of the, I mentioned before in a video that one of the tutors, or one of the examiners there, also has this study, student. Again, can you be a Band 9 speaker and have this problem? Yes. Can you be a C2 perfect student? Absolutely. Are all of my phonemes absolutely perfect? No. Definitely not. And did you ever have any problems with any of your school teachers?
As I'm thinking of it.
As I'm thinking of it? I don't know. That's a strange, as I'm thinking of it. As I remember, maybe.
No, not that much problems.
So problems is countable, so not that many problems. Much with uncountable nouns. Not that much time, not that much money, not that much space, but many with countable nouns. Not that many friends, not that many problems, not that many people.
I was really had the chance to have the best.
I was really had the chance? I really had the chance. We don't need was here. I really had the chance.
Teachers of all.
And have you ever taken any courses outside of school or university?
Well, sometimes I don't say that courses,
Love the intonation. I don't think that courses. Nice.
but some classes like paintings and musical classes are.
I don't know about paintings, but painting. But okay, just a minor thing. Musical classes, cool.
I used to go when I was a child and go
So I can't go classes. I used to go to, and I love this used to. I used to go to, or I used to, attend. Go to is fine, but not I used to go, but I used to go to. So it is minimal errors, but when there are so many of these minimal errors, like not much problems, and these are classes that I used to go, and I was really had. So by themselves, they are not problems individually, but put them together, and then we create, what we'd say noticeable errors with basic grammar or basic vocab.
going to school.
And are there any things that you'd like to learn more about in the future?
I
Again, we get that well.
really have a good sense.
So the fluency is breaking down. Just notice it here. Notice the mid-sentence hesitation. So not just thinking about what the candidate wants to say and saying it, but starting to speak and then thinking, and then speaking a bit more, and then thinking. Those type of pauses can hurt your score with fluency and coherence.
Really have a good
I really have a good
sense of
good sense. So I really have a good sense. So those are mid-sentence hesitations, and they are punished in IELTS.
Understanding poems, and I really want to know about them, and that's the thing that I'm going to do for.
Cool. I really want to know about them, and that is the thing that I'm going to do. Wonderful embedding there with a relative clause. That is the thing that I'm going to do. This is also called a cleft sentence. That is the thing that I'm going to do. Good stuff. We actually teach those cleft sentences at C1 at advanced, so good stuff.
For the next years as a hobby to search into poems and know what's the real meaning of the poems.
Know what's the real meaning of the poems. That's the type of error a L1 user could make. Really want to know what the meaning of the poems is probably better. Now let's talk about movies. What type of movies do you enjoy watching?
My favorite genre is
genre. So it sounds like genre, but genre, 2 syllables.
Mystery, and I really love to watch the movies that I.
So she said mystery, they're not history. Let's just watch again.
My favorite genre is mystery, and I really love to watch the movies that I.
Again, nice simple infinitive there. Really love to watch.
Don't know what the end is, and I
what the end is, what the ending. So movies have ending, and again, it's just it's absolutely understandable. But when we think about C1 vocab, we have this question about precision with vocab. So not movies where I don't know the end, but movies where I don't know the ending, and that ending is a precise word that we use, like the ending of a book, the ending of a movie. It's a precise word, and when the candidate uses end, it's like, oh, I understand, she's clear, communicative achievement is there, but precision with the vocab is just slightly off.
I'm expecting the end of the movie in my mind, and really enjoyed the sense of finding out what's happening or something like that.
For me, the candidate has a slightly French accent. I don't know. Find out what's happening. I don't know. It just sounds a little bit French to me. But that's not important. It doesn't matter if the candidate has a slightly French accent or what. I'm just thinking out loud. Sorry.
I really like mystery movies, and I enjoy to watch them.
Cool, she pulls it back, and that's why I really enjoy watching history movies. But she said, I enjoy to watch them. Now, that is a mistake, but a minor mistake. I enjoy watching. We don't enjoy to watch something. Some verbs go with infinitives. I want to do something. I hope to do something. I expect to do something. But some verbs go with gerunds, like I suggest doing something, or I enjoy doing something, or I don't mind doing something. Some verbs, of course, go with both, and it's no difference. Like, I like to do something, I like doing something. I love to do something, I love doing something. But enjoy is one of those verbs that should be followed by a gerund, not an infinitive. I enjoy doing something, I enjoy watching these movies. And do you prefer watching movies at home or at the cinema?
It has both. I'm going to agree with
It has both, stops, repairs, and starts again. I'm going to agree.
with both sides.
So this is, there is underlying coherence here. She says, I'm going to agree with both sides. But there is kind of both sides. But the question isn't, what do you think is better in general? The question is, what do you prefer? So it's not a case of agreeing with both sides. You can say, I like both things, but I don't know about agreeing. There's nothing to agree with here. There's no, some people say that going to the cinema is more enjoyable, while others believe that watching movies at home is more convenient. What do you think? Then you could agree with both sides, but there's nothing to agree or disagree with in the question. Do you prefer watching movies at home or in the cinema?
I love to watch movies as well as I love to watch movies in a home as well as in cinemas.
Cool. I love to watch movies at home as well as in cinemas. I love that as well as. That is just very, very, very natural discourse marker.
And I really, I'm a
cohesive device.
Movie fan, and in home or cinema, both of them, I really enjoy watching the movies.
Got a little bit repetitive. She said 3 times, I think, that she enjoys watching both in the cinema and at home. So this score with fluency and coherence is so difficult for me to check, because sometimes she's fluent and she extends her answers and shows a willingness to speak at length, absolutely, but at the same time her speech is interrupted by regular mid-sentence hesitations, but then at the same time she's also using an amazing variety of cohesive devices, and especially those linking words, text connectors, conjunctions. So or conjuncts. So it's going to give me a headache to mark this fluency and coherence, just because there's so much good and there's so much that could be improved at the same time. And do you have a favorite actor or director?
I have a favorite actor and actress in my mind that I can
in my mind, nice.
Say to you, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Not say to you is fine. Tell you is probably better.
DiCaprio is my favorite actor, and Nicole Kidman is my favorite actress, and I love watching the movies they are.
Cool. Maybe explain why they're your favorite. Something specific about them. Okay, you love watching their movies. Will you explain why specifically you like Leonardo DiCaprio or you like Nicole Kidman? Now, again, in order to be specific and give details, you need good vocab here. So, I love Leonardo DiCaprio's facial expressions. Sometimes when you get a close-up shot of him in a movie, you can really buy into his character. You forget that he's an actor and you just totally believe the character. So his performances are super believable. Now, there's a lot of topic-specific language in my answer, because in order to go into detail, in order to explain exactly why I like Leonardo DiCaprio or why I like Nicole Kidman, I have to access that vocab. Will the candidate do that?
So complicated. They rolled on really complicated movies, and
so well done, really complicated movies. It's okay, but it's not super detailed, is it?
I love to watch them.
And then this repetition of I love to watch them. We have had like to do quite a lot here. So yeah, for me, a bit more detail would be needed. You could really show off vocabulary. If we're looking at band 8, band 9, then we expect that super specific detail. So we are not, the candidate, seems, vocab so far seems to be maybe enough. Of course, I'll need to see how she deals with other topics, but at the moment I'm placing her vocab at around about a 7, but not enough detail for an 8 or a 9 for me. Okay, thank you. Now, in this next part, all right, so a bit of feedback on part 1. Candidate extends her answers fine. Some of the first 2 questions, or first question was perhaps a little bit short, but other than that, Candidate shows a willingness to speak at length. Great. However, the candidate's speech is broken up by mid-sentence hesitations. A lot of that happens. Okay. A lot of good discourse markers. So fluency and coherence, I don't know, probably closer to the 6. Some good grammar. There have been some slips with grammar, including like much problems, which is basic. I was really had, which is very basic. But then we do get like really nice grammar, like I'm not going to be able to, which is a complex structure. So a candidate does show, and she shows good embedding with complex sentences. So candidate uses complex sentences. Candidate does demonstrate a wide range of grammatical structures. However, some basic mistakes are noticeable, and that's pretty much exactly what band 7 says. So at the moment she's around band 7 for grammar too. Vocab, as I mentioned, probably around band 7, and pronunciation is really good. There are, there's before the S, which is noticeable. Candidates' th sounds are often replaced by a t. I didn't mention that, but it is something that I've heard, the t instead of the th. But candidate is easy to understand. Sometimes the poor fluency results in inappropriate chunking. Fluency often affects pronunciation, and pronunciation often affects fluency. That's just the way it is. But good intonation. So I think, around about the 7 for pronunciation so far too. And I think that's probably where this is going to go. 6, 7, 7, 7. Of course, we need to see how she deals with the rest of the test. But I think most examiners, after listening to a candidate speak for 1 or 2 minutes, you kind of, with 95% certainty, can tell their level. But anyway, let's get into part 2. This will be a test of the candidate's coherence and cohesion, because you have to speak on your own for 2 minutes. Candidate must describe a technological gadget she finds useful. Let's see if she can fill this 2 minutes with a nice, organized, flowing turn.
Yes.
So I'd like you to describe a technological gadget you will have between 1 and 2 minutes to give your talk, and I will let you know when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
Yes.
So just notice the time it takes for the candidates to start. And I remember looking at my stopwatch when this was happening, and it was 6 minutes. So from the moment that I said, can you start speaking now, please, press the button, it was 6 seconds before she said anything. Now that's, it's, what is that? I should be able to work out this percentage. Is that 5%? 5% of the whole turn was spent doing nothing but, okay.
Okay. Gadgets now have a really main part in our lives. We use
have a main part, maybe play an important role instead of have a main part. So it's imprecise vocab. Play an important role, not have a main part.
Almost every gadget for.
And notice how she's speaking in general. Now, sometimes you could have an introduction that deals with things in general, but this isn't an essay, right? In an essay, we start by giving general information. All over the world, many people, or for centuries, people have. This is describe a technological gadget that you find useful. This is personal. This is about you, not about people or humans in general. And so, while an introduction can be used, we need to be careful that we don't, make that introduction too long and too off topic. You just get straight into it, right? So while, everyone nowadays uses technological gadgets, but the one I find most useful is my smartphone, right? That would be fine. If you want to have some general introduction, that's enough. I don't know any person that doesn't use gadgets nowadays, but for me, my air fryer is the most useful one. And then talk about the air fryer.
Any of our work that we want to do. For example, when we want to learn something, or even when we want to find some.
She's still talking about people in general.
Place, we use our gadgets. Then I want to say about, tell you about the.
Good correction. I want to tell you about.
Gadget that I mostly use.
Okay, please tell us.
Is my navigation gadget.
Okay, my navigation gadget. Cool.
I use several forms of gadgets that navigate
I use several I don't know what that means. I use several forms of gadgets. I don't know what that means.
me to other places, but I mostly use Google Map. I think it's really useful.
A bit of a pause would be nice there. Sometimes candidates do this when they are a bit nervous. They don't allow for natural pauses. I think you can sit, you can think, you can breathe, you can slow your speech down a little bit. Just notice this, how this should, can you hear where there should be a pause? Let's go again.
Other places, but I mostly use Google Map. I think it's really useful.
But I mostly use Google Map. I think it's really, but I mostly use Google Maps. I think it's really, that just a little bit of a pause. A little bit of a pause would be nice.
That you can find very.
Candidate's already explaining why it's so useful. Now, is there a rule that says that you have to follow each one of these points? Absolutely not. Certainly there are many IELTS experts that say, you know, it's kind of a bad thing to stick to all of these things because it limits you. I'm not one of those people. I think following the cue card can be a really, really useful way to approach this, and it is the one that I recommend. You say what the gadget is and you develop for about 20 seconds. You say how long you've had it and you develop for about 20 seconds. You say how often you use it and you develop for about 20 seconds, right? So to give a quick example of this, so I'm going to talk to you about something called Google Maps. I'm sure you've all heard of it, right? Basically, it's like you can have it on an app and you can also access it through the browser. Basically, it just shows you the map online, but it also tells you about different things that are in the local area. So that's what it is, plus the development. All right. Now, of course, I don't know exactly how long I've had it or how long it's existed for, but I guess I've been using it for at least like 10 years or something. Like I used to use something called like Google World just for fun, just to look at it. But now, of course, I have Google Maps on my phone, and I've been using this on my phone, I guess, yeah, maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 years. So I've said how long I've had it and I've extended it. Now, regarding the frequency with which I use it, or maybe I don't like that so much, or speaking about how often I use it, honestly, I think I use it every single day. Like, of course, I know where things are in my local area, but, you know, sometimes I want to check if things are, like, if shops are open or the opening times, and luckily, Google has that, and I've become so reliant on it that, yeah, probably I use it, you know, if not every day, then at least 5 times a week. Great. So I've said how often I use it and I've developed. So I think that gives this structure, and then you can speak about other reasons why it's so useful. This candidate is jumping straight into why it's so useful. And usually when that happens, you know, the candidate says what the gadget is and then jumps to the final question, why it's so useful. Then 20, 30 seconds has gone, and then the candidate thinks, I don't know what else to talk about. And then they go back to the cue card and they end up repeating ideas and things like this. But let's see how the candidate continues. I'll just jump back a little.
But I mostly use Google Map. I think it's really useful that you can find where you want to go, or find anything that is around you. For example, you want to go to a coffee shop, or you want to find a parking lot. You just search into where the nearest parking lot or coffee shop is to you. And another
Candidate does feel a little bit rushed. Her fluency, you know, there aren't so many hesitations here, but now she feels a little bit rushed and a little bit panicky.
thing is that these gadgets really improve our life and makes our lives really easy.
Again, now she's speaking in general, improves our lives, make our lives easy. This is personal. This is about you and why you find it useful. Of course, you do have that freedom to speak about why it's so useful in general. But I'd like to see more personal stuff.
Them, it's really beneficial for us.
So it's useful, it improves our lives, it's really beneficial for us. So candidate is repeating the point that it's useful, but not really going into details. She did mention the coffee shops and parking lots, fine, but notice how she answered the first question, what the gadget is, then went to the last question, why it's so useful, and now there's not really anywhere to go.
I can remember that I used to use the and I'm still using the my Google
I used to use, I'm still using the Google app. We know.
But before using the Google Maps, I used Waze. I think
I used Waze. Now she's talking about a different navigator, a different map service.
it was a really useful
And now she's saying that one was useful, but there's no real protein in there, right?
gadget. But nowadays, I rely just on Google Maps.
Okay, now she uses Google Maps. So she has to keep repeating, I use Google Maps. Google Maps is useful. Google Maps is useful. I use Google Maps. I use Google Maps. Google Maps is useful. Yeah, so there's not a great amount of depth.
And I started using it when I started to.
Now she's saying when I started using it, so I guess that's how long you've had it. So maybe she's gone back to the cue card and started, trying to answer some of those questions.
Learn driving and
learn to drive or learn how to drive rather than learn driving?
It was really hard for me to focus on my driving.
Cool, to focus on, good. Really hard, good.
Point
okay,
and
thank
unfamiliar.
You. So yeah, there's just no, in terms of a logical progression, I don't really see that logical progression. So in terms of vocabulary, fine. In terms of grammar, decent. In terms of pronunciation, again, fine. But that fluency and coherence, that ability to plan, to use that 1 minute correctly and to have a strategy. All candidates need to have a strategy, right? There is not just one strategy that works for IELTS speaking task 2. Trust me when I say that I have about 5 different strategies that I could use for IELTS speaking part 2. All 5 of those strategies can get you a band 9, but it is important that you have a strategy. And for me, it's noticeable that this candidate, probably this is the first time she's done this speaking part 2, or at least she hasn't done it many times, or if she has done it many times, she hasn't developed a strategy. She hasn't sat with a tutor who said, okay, this is how we're going to approach task 2. This is how we're going to spend our 1 minute, and no matter what the question, this is the approach we're going to take. It's clear that the candidate doesn't have a strategy here, and that does negatively affect the fluency and coherence. But let's get to part 3.
Your place.
Thank you.
That was really fast.
Yeah, and also you don't need to add commentary. In the mock exam, fine. I like you, Marzie. Speaking to you was wonderful. You're a very, very pleasant person. Like all the candidates that I've met so far, everyone has been super, super nice. So please don't consider this a personal thing. But from an examiner's point of view, we really hate it when candidates add commentary to things like, oh, that was really fast, or oh, did I do that okay? It's like, let's just get through the test in a, I have to be a robot, right? Please let me be a robot is what I want to say to candidates when I'm examining. Please just let me be a robot. Don't add the extra, oh, that was really fast. Don't need it. Okay, so and also keep in mind the IELTS examiner is under time pressure themselves. They have to get part 1 done in 4 to 5 minutes. They have to get part 2 done in 3 to 4 minutes. They have to get part 3 done in 4 to 5 minutes. We have these time limits. Yeah. Talking about a technological gadget you find useful, let's move on now and talk about technology in general. How has technology changed the way that we communicate?
Well, it really changed our communication.
It really changed? It has really changed? Or it really changed?
And problems. For example, in the...
Problems? How can it change? It can change the way we communicate, or it can solve communication problems. But I don't know about change communication problems.
Past, we just used mail or phones for being in touch with others.
To stay in touch, to keep in touch. I don't know about for being in touch.
But nowadays, you just press on a button and have a video call with your friends, family that are across the country or living in another place in the world. So that really affects our communication.
That really affects, not that is really affect, but that really affects.
levels and the quality of the communications. For example, nowadays we are hearing of
quality of communication, absolutely love, but quality of communications with that S on the end. Communication is an uncountable noun. We don't add S. I know sometimes communications is a countable noun and can be used in the plural. But in this context, yeah, the quality of our communication. Quality of communication is good.
Very long distance relationships that they can survive with video
long distance relationships, they can survive, all very good natural language.
chats or being in touch with others. But in the
being in touch is okay, staying in touch, keeping in touch is better.
Past, when you mailed some email.
Bit of a ven, right? A bit of a, not when, but a bit of a venue. Let's listen again.
But in the past, when you mailed some email or some postcard, you don't know where the person could get the mail,
You don't know where they could get it, or you don't know when they could get it? I guess you mean you don't know when they could get it.
Postcard, you don't know where the person could get the mail. It has really a long time. You have to.
Not it has a long time, it takes a really long time. So again, that precision of the vocab, it has fallen quite a lot now in this part 3.
Wait for.
But still, there is a lot of good vocab in there too. But okay, let's keep going.
Getting the answers.
Some people think that technology has made us less communicative, that we don't like face-to-face meetings and things like this. What do you think?
I think it's
Again, I love the intonation when she's not sure. Well, I think it's really natural intonation.
50% true, and it depends on the way that someone uses.
Cool. That's so nice. It depends on the way that someone uses. It's so nice. It depends on the way that someone uses. I spoke to Marzie about how she learnt English, and she's really one of those people who didn't learn English but acquired English, right? So there's a difference between learning, sitting with books, having a teacher, understanding the logic, the formula of the grammar, how it works, things like this, studying with vocab, doing regular testing, getting analysis, getting feedback from your teacher, and then working on those improvements, using things like metalinguistic language, understanding what passives are, what conditionals are, what continuous aspect is, and things like this. This is learning a language. Now, Marzie said, well, from the age of 10 or 11, I watched a bunch of TV shows in English, and I like watching things on YouTube, and from this, she's picked up stuff. Now, this is what we call language acquisition. Of course, when you learn language, you also acquire, and when you acquire, you can also learn. But it does... Marzie's definitely closer to the side of language acquisition. So she's able to use these things on, it depends on, let's just listen to, what was it that she said?
Ooh. I think it's 50% true, and it depends on the way that someone uses the technology.
It depends on the way that someone uses the technology. Now, Marzie probably doesn't know that this is an amazing bit of language, right? It depends on the way that you use this technology. But yeah, it's very, very complex stuff. Good stuff.
For example, ones could use it for being in touch with people.
Staying in touch, keeping in touch is better than being in touch. This is repetition now of this idea of be in touch.
Finding friends, but on the other hand,
very nice.
Someone could be less social and just prefer to use the cell phones to be in touch with friends and family.
To stay in touch or to keep in touch is probably better than to be in touch.
Family, and not willing to have a...
Oh, not willing to. I love this. Be willing to is like a little adjectival modal. Be willing to do something. Love it.
Face-to-face interference with other...
Not face-to-face interference with someone, but a face-to-face interaction with someone. Yeah.
Part of societies.
A lot of people are speaking about artificial intelligence at the moment. How do you think that might change or impact our lives?
Well, nowadays...
Another well.
It's really popular to use ChatGPT for our all problems. For example, me myself.
For our all problems, for all of our problems, all of our problems.
When I'm depressed or when I'm miserable, I use
Cool, depressed, miserable, all good language. Sad emotions and sad states, but love this word miserable.
that. It's like a friend to me. I send
It's like a friend to me, very natural stuff.
messages and get really accurate answers, and that's a good thing. But in the future, when I want to talk about the future, I think it's going to have a really
Candidates' fluency has improved enormously in part 3. So it's such a headache for me because in part 1 there was so many mid-sentence hesitations that I thought, okay, I probably can't award 7. And then in part 2 there was just such a lack of like a logical progression, a lack of organization. I thought, okay, the 6 is guaranteed now, can't possibly be a 7. But the way that the candidate is speaking in part 3 makes me think, well, this is band 7 fluency, maybe even, and in band 7 fluency, and with those, cohesive devices that she uses, it could be. This sounds to me like a band 8 candidate. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know.
impact on our lives. For example, when you want to
Still think she should pause more. It just feels again a bit rushed. Just where there's that full stop, just pause and take a breath. Just notice the speed of speech.
want to talk about the future, I think it's going to have a really impact on our lives. For example, when you want to know the answer,
And I think maybe that's where the ers come from. Maybe the candidate is just trying to speak too quickly and her mouth is faster than her brain, and that's where the ers come from.
search it for yourself. But it's like really easy to use ChatGPT, and maybe you don't search in nets or in
Search in nets. Again, just a little bit. Again, if you slow down, you can be more mindful about your language production. You can think more carefully about it. I know Marzie also said that she just spontaneously produces language. And unfortunately, I mean, it's a great way to acquire a language. It's a great way to pick up a language instead of studying, to just acquire it like that. And to, I guess it sounds like she's really focused not just on input, but also output, that she's had a lot of practice speaking. The problem with this is that you get what we call fossilized mistakes. Once you have, if your output, you're speaking, you get used to speaking in a certain kind of way and in what we call your communicative repertoire. The grammar, the vocab that you use, sometimes if that's wrong and it's not corrected for a long time, it can never be, I don't want to say never, but it almost never can be corrected by yourself. And so you end up hitting the ceiling where you just speak with those little mistakes everywhere. And it can be so difficult to unlearn what you've spent years using. And I think Marzie probably has that problem.
At all for an answer. It's like giving you everything so fast that you used to using the app.
Could be used to using good.
Or AI that much that you really don't go for the things that you should go for yourself. And
I don't know what that means. You should go for the things that you should go for. What does it mean, go for here?
Just using the AI for achieving your goals.
But I get the underlying coherence. We become too reliant on AI. We use AI for everything. And then when you actually need to use something else, or if you need to use your brain, or you need to use your intuition, unfortunately, we don't use that anymore. We use the AI too much. That's the point that she's making.
It might not be that beneficial for your life and for your future. I think
okay, end the turn there, right? That's enough development. And there's no pause. There's no pause for me to jump in and say, okay, she's just, again, machine gunning the answer and adding, what I think is too much information. You could full stop, pause, let the next question come. I know part 3 answers should be a little bit longer, but we don't want to just it's not part 2, right? It's not speak for 2 minutes about a theme.
We have to have a really good manner on using AI
What about manner here?
to be more successful in our
Maybe we have to find the right way to use AI, but not you have to have a good manner. So again, the vocab is not very precise, but understandable.
communications and as well as in our life in future.
Okay, finally, I get a break to ask another question. What other future technologies would you like to see?
I like to travel very much, and I think there should be apps to
Cool. I like to travel very much, and I think there should be. That's very natural.
facilitate the way that you go travel and
Not sure. Apps that facilitate the way that you go travel. I'm not sure what you mean here.
find ways to improve your journey on your
Find ways to improve your journey. What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. Do you mean like entertainment apps? Your journey? So you're sitting on a plane and there should be some technology that helps you enjoy this more. But what would that technology be? Is it an app? Are you talking about like the vehicle? I'm not sure what you mean here.
travel and give you ideas. And I know
And
that
give you ideas. Are you talking about the trip or are you talking about the journey? Because you seem to be speaking about the two different things. I don't know.
some applications are working on that, but
So some applications are working on helping people to enjoy their trips more. But again, are you talking about now, like booking hotels, or are you talking about like tour guides and things like this? It's really unclear what you mean here.
they are not that complex, and they haven't been improved that much. So I think they
So for me, this is enough now for me to say, okay, despite the fact that some of the fluency has been great in part 3, I'm now going to go back to that part. I'm going to go back to that band 6 for fluency, just because this coherence now is dropping in part 3. And I think, okay, this settles it for me that it'll be 6 for fluency and coherence.
the engineers they should put more effort to
Put more effort into.
make an application that works on that idea. I think
I still don't know what the idea is. I'm sorry.
I would be really happy to have a gadget that helps me a lot in traveling.
And can you think of any possible future technologies that might be harmful or dangerous for humans?
Maybe we can say that AI is going to be a little bit scary nowadays.
A little bit is scary. A little bit is scary. So hear it again. This is the 3rd time, I think.
To be a little bit scary nowadays.
A little bit is scary. Is scary. Is scary.
With its improvement.
Okay, nowadays, but we're talking about the future, no?
It's going to be more
Cool, it's going to be.
more wise than.
Cool, student correct. It's going to be more wise. I still prefer wiser, not more wiser, but it's going to be wiser. There is a rule about these comparatives that, usually if an adjective has one syllable, like wise, wiser, tall, taller, big, bigger, small, smaller, we add er. If the adjective has 2 or more syllables, we use more, like modern, more modern, beautiful, more beautiful, interesting, more interesting. If the adjective ends in a y, then doesn't matter how many syllables, we add ear. So happy, happier, crazy, crazier. And there are some adjectives that just don't follow the rules, like good, better, bad, worse, quiet, quieter or more quiet, both are fine. Calm, more calm, calmer, both are fine. And wise, more wise for me is acceptable. Wiser is a little better, but who cares?
Our mind, for example, if you have a competition, if you are one part of the competition and AI would be another part of the competition.
Again, she explains herself well, good communicative achievement, but we could have, like, if you're in a competition and your opponent is an AI, right? If your opponent, that word opponent, or if you are competing against an AI, that's more precise vocab that really, that's what a band 8 or a 9 would achieve. If you are competing against an AI, or if you have an AI opponent, not if you are one side and the AI is on the other side. That's a lot more words to explain your idea.
I think AI would win the competition.
Would win.
So they are really better than us, and that's a little bit scary to think about.
A little bit is scary.
Something is better than human being. So maybe in future,
notice this better than with a d, better than.
Something is better than human being.
Something is better than something.
A little bit scary to think about. Something is better than human being. So maybe in future we see all the things.
In future we will see. We're going to see, not we see.
That we have saw in.
We have seen.
Our.
But we have saw is something my dad would say. We have saw. But so it's the type of mistake, and this is written in IELTS. It's like, oh, if it's the type of mistake that a native speaker can use, then fine, you're okay for band 9.
Movies like science fiction movies, maybe we see them in a real life.
So again, we will see them in a real life, absolutely fine, but we will see them come true. That's what a band 9 or 8 might use. We will see these things come true. And that's the type of like precise natural vocab that 8s and 9s can do. And I think Marzie's vocab is more suitable for band 7.
For example, 100 years later, century later, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That is the end of the test. Okay, so I think I mentioned at the end of this video, sorry, my lighting is strange. I've just noticed I look incredibly pale, very, very white. Yeah, anyway, that's not important. Let's get to the marks. Now, I mentioned at the end of the video, previous video, that this would be difficult to score, but I think it's going to be easy. Fluency and coherence, 6. So I have mentioned this a lot. So part one, there were lots of noticeable mid-sentence pauses. Part 2, your long turn lacked a logical progression. And part 3, your fluency improved a lot, but some answers were incoherent. So those are the negative points. But I want to say the candidate speaks at length. Great. The candidate develops her ideas. Great. You speak at length. You speak willingly and comfortably at length. And you use a wonderful range of linking words and cohesive devices. If you don't know what cohesive devices are, learn them. They are important. There can be linking words, but they are not only linking words. Not only. Reference words, things like this too. Okay, lexical resource for me, 7. You have enough vocab. You have enough vocab to talk about a wide variety of subjects in a fair amount of detail. However, there are some cases where your vocab is a little imprecise or slightly unnatural. The end versus the ending, that type of stuff. And I have mentioned throughout the video a lot of cases where it's like, oh, a band 8 or a 9 might just say this, whereas a band 7 is more likely to say this. Grammatical range and accuracy, I think I can award the 7 for this. So despite a number of errors with some basic grammar, you have a very nice range of sentences. Lots of good stuff like relative clauses, embedded sentences, things like this. If you don't know what they are, don't worry. It's a good thing, don't worry. You also use a fairly wide range of structures. Like this thing, like we're not going to be able to. I really like stuff like that. Or it depends on the way that we use this technology. Very, very nice stuff. Pronunciation, again, I'm going to award the 7. So despite some minor errors with individual phonemes, go with "sir" and "the", your speech is very easily understandable and causes no strain on the listener. Cool. Good stuff. Your intonation is strong and sustained throughout the test. At times, your breakdowns in fluency negatively affect the way that you group some words together. I think that's fair for a band 7. Yeah, band 7. So overall, what do we get? 6.5. Now it feels, you know, I definitely feel like this candidate is a C1 user of English. Overall, 6.5. Now, this is the type of candidate where I've had students in the past, I call them Bernards. It's an old cutting-edge reference. There are these students who are Bernards that are very focused on grammatical accuracy and vocabulary precision, and they do wonderfully well in tests. If you give them like a Cambridge use of English test, they do very well in this. They know all of this, like inversion, like no sooner had they left than it started to rain, and they can produce all of this stuff. Now, if I gave Marzie this type of test, I don't think she would do as well as a Bernard. She would probably come out as B2 grammar. But if I was sending someone to a negotiation, or if I was sending someone on a business trip, my goodness, I would send Marzie. Why? Because her communicative achievement is just incredible. She's bright, she's positive, she's open-minded, she can explain her ideas. Wonderful, great. And she's reached that level that I think she's reached that ceiling of her level where she's such a confident and such a capable communicator. Great, but getting to that next level of like a band 8, I don't think she will get to that level of band 8, and I don't think she needs to. I think with her natural level of a band 7, and I think overall in IELTS she will get a band 7, I think she can do everything she needs to do in English with this level. I don't think she needs to get to C2. I think for her, C1 is absolutely fine because she's such a good communicator. But for me, the speaking test does come out at 6.5, but I feel like, she's probably is a C1 user, but speaking test says 6.5, and that's what the speaking test says according to my interpretation of the IELTS criteria. So areas of improvement, only a couple of things. I would say take breaths and pauses. Try to slow down your speech a little. So your spontaneous language production is very effective, but at times you might want to think a little more carefully about your language choices. Now again, I don't want to ruin this candidate's natural ability to just produce language on the spot, but I think sometimes there is a space for actually strategizing and thinking, well, I'm going to be a bit careful about the kind of language that I use. I'm going to be a bit careful about not taking risks with language that perhaps I'm not quite sure of. So yeah, that's something. Diagnosing your hesitations will be tough. I know you have a tutor. You mentioned you have a tutor. there are different strategies. There are different strategies out there to try to make candidates more fluent. I've been working on fluency with one of my students for 2 years, and honestly, I could say he hasn't made much progress at all. Sometimes people just can't make progress there, or they don't want it enough. I honestly think, Marzie, that if you want it enough, you can. You can look up, you can work with a tutor. You can explore different reasons why people have these hesitations. You can try a bunch of different strategies with your tutor. And if you want it enough, you can make that, but it will take some effort. Diagnosing your hesitations will be tough, and cutting them out completely. Oh, we don't need to cut them out completely. And improving this aspect of your speech will take real work, but I think it's worth it. In most cases, your ideas were clear, but just be careful also in part 3. Make sure, if you talk about an app that helps people facilitate their trips better, you have to explain exactly what you mean there. But yeah, 2 points: take breaths and pauses, try to slow your speech down. That might help. Thinking more carefully about your language choices and taking fewer risks with language that you're not sure of, that could help. But really getting to the heart of these hesitations, it could be not a language thing, but a psychological thing. There are a number of different reasons why people have these hesitations. If you want to improve it, it will take work. Anyway, yeah, that's my feedback. Overall, 6.5. Candidate has very, very good communicative achievement, but yeah, doesn't matter. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of this candidate's speaking test. If you disagree with anything that any of my scores or any of my comments, feel free to leave a comment. Leave a comment anyway. And if you'd like your own free practice IELTS speaking test with feedback, or if you would like me to check your IELTS writing, then you can request this in my Telegram channel. A link to the Telegram channel is given in the description box below. But I will leave it there for now. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you all very soon. Bye-bye.